in the previous exercise, we have seen how we can make use of the React transition group in order to add page transitions to our React application. And that's one fun way of adding animations. Now, there are many NPM packages that support adding animations to your React application. Now, amongst them, I have selected one which I find to be interesting to demonstrate how we can add React animations. And by all means, this is not the only React animations NPM module that is available out there. You can try out various ones that are out there and then select whichever one that you find interesting and useful for your specific React application. Now, in this exercise, I'm going to demonstrate the use of React animation components and add in a couple of animations to our application. To get started on this exercise, in your project, add the React animation components 3.0.0 to our application. And since this also requires prop types, so let me add that also into place once I install this. So yarn add prop types 15.6.0 to our application. After adding these two, let's now go to our application and add a couple of animations. Going to our application, let me open the home component. In the home component, I'm going to import from React animation components. I'll import fade transform from React animation components. So this allows me to do some fade transformation. Both fading and transformation can be applied to React elements that are enclosed inside this fade transform. So what kind of transition am I going to apply? So to do that, I will move into the render card component. So here I'm going to apply the fade transform to the card here. So I'll say fade transform. So this applies both fade and transform properties to my React elements here. Fade transform in, and then this takes as property as transform props. We'll say exit transform scale 0.5 translate y minus 50%. When I apply this fade transform to this card will initially be out of the screen in a small way and then pop up onto the screen when the card is rendered in the view there. So that's the small animation that I am adding in. Now, again, I'm just adding in just to demonstrate to you how you can add transformations to your application. And I am fond of this fade transform from React transition animation. I have tried various kinds, and this seems to be an interesting animation to add to various elements in your React application. You can try out various, there are many more of these components in React animation components. You can try out many of them and then see which one you like to do. And so that is what I will apply to the card here. Now, in addition, I'm going to go into the dish detail component. So this fade transform I'm applying in the home component. I'll go to the dish detail component and then add a few animations in here. in the dish detail component, let me import from React animation components. Let me import fade transform, then fade, and then stagger. These three, and then I'll show you how I apply these three. Fade transform you understand briefly from the way I applied it earlier. So the fade transform was I just transform the elements fade in and get transformed. So they translate Y means that from above they will fall into place. When you see the animation, it will become even more clear. Now I'm going to apply exactly the same fade transform to the card in here. So going into this card here, I'm going to apply the same fade transform to this card. And for the comments, when the comments are being rendered, I will apply again a fade to these. So right there, after the UL, I'll say stagger in we'll stagger the items in. So when you have a list of items, you can stagger things into place like this. So we will say right here, we'll indent that, and then in here I'm going to apply fade in to the list item here. So we'll fade in one list item at a time and in a staggered way, one below the other. So when you have a list of items, you can stagger in them randomly by doing this. Now again, this is by trial and error, I figured out that this looks interesting from my perspective at least, in terms of doing animation. So let's save the changes and then go and take a look at what this application or what this new animations that we added do to our application. Going to the application in the browser, let me reload the application in the browser, and you can see how the animation is applied here. So all the cards pop into the screen from behind the scenes. Now let's go to the menu component, and then let me navigate to the details of a specific dish and watch out for the animations there. You can see how the comments are listed onto the screen in a staggered way, one after another. So when you have a list of items, the staggered way of displaying is an interesting way of adding in the items one by one. So it adds a little bit of animation to the screen. One more time, let me reload the screen and then you'll see. And of course, the card itself just simply pops up onto the screen there. So when the card is rendered, you can see the card pops up and the list of comments are laid out, staggered one after another on the screen. So that adds a little bit of animation to our application. So with this, I have demonstrated two little animations that can be added into our application to make it a little bit more interesting. Again, as I said, I am no expert at doing animations. I just added in a couple of things just out of fun to demonstrate how you can add simple animations to your React application. This is a good time for you to do a git commit with the message React animation components.